What happened to the children in what has been called the Holocaust of World War II? While many stories have been told, what does the evidence of the period show? This presentation takes photos that have been available over the years from Holocaust memorial sites and private sources to present an overview of the experiences of children in the German-administered concentration camps, transit camps, and labor camps from late 1939 to early 1945. This presentation focuses exclusively on camps completely controlled by German forces, including the SS. Records maintained at the Auschwitz camp showed that 3,000 babies were born there over the years. According to the records, all survived to the end of the war. Babies born at the camp are shown here in the nursery, under the care of a nurse. Nurses took care of newborns and babies while their mothers recuperated or worked. Few photos are available of babies and children at Auschwitz, and any that may exist are in the hands of Holocaust memorial sites or private individuals. It is not known why the Germans wouldn't have taken more photos of these facilities and standards of care. Perhaps more photos can be found in the archives. The nursing staff and nursery provided normal standards of care for the very young children at the camp. We can even see that the crib bars are narrowly spaced, which is a more modern standard to prevent children from getting their head caught between them. At Sered concentration camp in the Slovak Republic, mothers are seen with babies in carriages, out for a stroll and posing for the camera. All are well bundled up to deal with what must have been chilly weather at the time. The children's outdoor playground at Sered camp seems to include a large sandbox, where these children are very busy creating sand sculptures. Babies were born in all the camps, including Dachau. This is Jerry Legman, who was born in Dachau during the war. He is shown first in the smaller photo on the far right, with his mother, just at liberation. In the larger photo, he is shown healthy and strong a couple of years later in the displaced persons camp, where he continued to live with his mother until they could secure a new home. Also at Dachau, we have photos of a child with his mother and babies with teenagers. The website displaying this photo says that it is mothers and babies. These moms look like teenagers. At Vine concentration camp in the Slovak Republic, babies are placed in the pool for a refreshing opportunity to splash and enjoy the water. We know from photographs that many camps had swimming pools. This is the exterior of the children's barracks at Theresienstadt camp in Czechoslovakia. These barracks may have been the camp's housing for orphans. Children whose parents were at the camp were less likely housed with their families, as this camp was like a small town, combining a ghetto with a concentration camp into one large facility. These young children are taking a nap outdoors in the summer with a nurse in attendance. There are multiple photos of this scene, and this one is the clearest. Each child has his own bed with a pillow and light blanket. Again in the children's barracks at Theresienstadt, here is the playroom. It is not known whether this space was also used for learning activities. It is well equipped and boasts a mural and sculpture by the artist Joe Spear, who lived in the camp during the war with his family. A close-up of the wall mural and sculpture in the children's playroom, as well as a close-up of children on riding horses, taken from what is termed a propaganda film created by the Germans about this camp. This is the only photo used in this presentation that is said to be taken from this film. Another view of the children's playroom, with teachers or caregivers sitting with groups of children. There are both stools and storage boxes for the children to sit on, much like those in use by parents and caregivers today, and work tables for projects are at the back of the room. Each child seems to have a toy to play with. The children's playroom is visible at the bottom of this stairway. We can surmise that all the youngest children in the camp had access to this room for the kindergarten and for playtime. The children seem very excited to climb these stairs and are lining up at the bottom for their chance to go up. The reason why is revealed in the next slide. The children had a slide leading into the playroom. We can see a caregiver making sure the children are well placed on what seems to be a simple sled the child is holding on to protect him from hurting his skin on the slide itself. We can also see the children lined up, waiting for their turn. Down the slide and up the stairs again for more. Not all photos and video images from the camps are labeled. We see here a scene from a video of gypsy children in a camp under the care of nuns. We believe this is Auschwitz. The other scenes show children from Ravensbrück and from Westerbork, where the writer Clara Pinkoff is sitting with a young child. It seems that families were kept together in some instances, including the Birnbaum family, pictured here in Westerbork, first indoors and then on the street where they lived in the camp. All members of the family are well dressed, in their ordinary clothes. The artist Joe Spear was sent to a concentration camp for creating cartoons of Hitler in his job as a newspaper illustrator. He and his family were first sent to Westerbork and then to Theresienstadt, where they remained until war's end. Many of the illustrations shown in this presentation, including the wall mural shown earlier, were done by Joe Spear. Here we see a drawing of the artist by Max Plotchik. Here we see two sisters interned at Westerbork and a mother with her two daughters. Here are three boys in a residence in Theresienstadt. The interiors we see throughout the camps are comfortable. We also see other children in relaxed environments in the camp. A candid shot of children in Theresienstadt camp in 1944. In almost all cases, children in photos from the war are in normal clothing. In only one photo in this presentation are they seen wearing badges. Again at Westerbork, here is the Fink family, Father Manfred, son Michael, and Mother Herta. We see Michael dressed up for an outing. Sadly, Manfred was eventually sent to labor camps and perished before the end of the war. Herta and Michael remained together and survived the war. Here we see Michael Fink all dressed up for his first day at Westerbork School in 1941. He is holding a school cone, a German tradition of creating a large cone of treats and school supplies to help children become excited about their new learning adventure. We also see a crowd of school children and teachers between the barracks of the camp. Here is a class of very young school children at Westerbork with their teachers. Here is a class photo of older children at Westerbork in 1941 and a photo of a classroom in the camp school, complete with wall postings relevant to the lessons of the day. Note that this photo is very blurry because it is taken from a very small original. The original photo is less than half an inch wide and about 3/8 of an inch wide, as shown below right. Many photos in this presentation are from such small originals, which were common among photographs of the 1940s. This class of Westerbork teenagers is well dressed for their photo and surrounded by flowers. These school children of Theresienstadt are shown wearing yellow star badges. Here is a class of the youngest children at Novaki in a kindergarten class. Two teachers are present and there's lots of artwork on the walls. The shelves are packed with items made by the children or of interest to them and topped with an abacus and some kind of tree mobile. The same type of wood paneling is seen on the walls of all the classrooms in the Novaki camp. Here is a photo of kindergartners in Novaki camp with their teachers and perhaps parents in a close and informal group. Note that the artwork on the walls is the same as in the previous photo, so it's probably the same classroom. Note as well the size of the original photo, bottom right. Here is the kindergarten building at Theresienstadt camp. Above the doorways and windows are drawings of wild animals, with the camels shown in close-up here. This rather grand double doorway seems to be the exit of a school at Theresienstadt, with students going outside to a park with a water fountain as the adults watch. Young children at Theresienstadt are shown here at desks. A child's homework assignment is also shown. A Novaki classroom for first graders is shown here, with the children in groups and the teacher at the left. These older children at Novaki are doing an assignment while their teacher stands at the back of the room. Again, we see the wood paneling. Older Novaki students here may be taking a test as their teacher confers with another teacher or school official. Note the pot-bellied stove at the back of the classroom. Here, Novaki students are bundled up with their teacher and ready for some outdoor activity. All the children have warm coats, hats, gloves, and boots. Again, the tiny original photo is shown on the bottom right. In milder weather, here we see a full class or two of young children out for a walk with their teachers in the Slovak Republic. Again, all are well dressed for the weather. This photo shows the Theresienstadt children taking a brisk walk in the park. Here, in a photo from a Slovakian labor camp, we see a class of what are probably first graders all dressed up for their class photo and holding an image of something that is important to them. The walls of their classroom are completely covered in paper for drawings. More Slovakian children in school are playing in separate groups of boys and girls, as we can see the girls on their own in the lower right. The children have blocks and have made their own drawings, which the teacher has placed on the walls. Again, this rather stern photo seems traditional for the time, as the teacher in the Slovakian camp school uses a pointer to direct children's attention to each statement on the blackboard. Again, a rather stiff and formal class photo from a Slovakian camp school classroom. Back at Theresienstadt, it is nap time for the children, and each has a small pillow and light blanket as they spread out on wide benches outdoors on a summer day. One child waters the flowers. It may be nap time, but these children at Theresienstadt are enjoying their snack instead of sleeping. All the school children are well dressed and well groomed. A swing set in the Theresienstadt garden. Perhaps this is outside the children's barracks, but it is surely accessible to all the youngest children. This photo of children playing in the park shows another swing set near the fence, center right. The Theresienstadt gardens were made available to the kindergarten children, as we see here, as nurses accompany the children and have stools, rocking horses, and a bicycle for them to use. In another area of the park, older children have taken the younger tykes on their laps for a turn on the merry-go-round. Nurses can be seen in the background, making sure the children are safe at recess. The park in Theresienstadt included teeter-totters as well as a merry-go-round. In the bottom photo, we see mothers watching their children play. Theresienstadt had a huge sandbox for the children, and a large group is assembled around it here, while children young and older are seen playing in the sand. Children had opportunities for unstructured play and even some roughhousing in the camps. Here we see boys from a Slovak camp play wrestling. In those days, this was considered normal fun, and we can see that the children seem to be enjoying themselves. At Sered camp, we see older girls dancing the hora around a group of boys in the center of their circle. This photo was taken outside their camp school. More dancing of the hora at Slovakian camps, with several groups dancing. The hora was danced at Westerbork camp in Holland, too, with both older girls and older boys participating. Here, a large group of Slovakian children dance the hora at recess. A group of Slovakian schoolchildren plays leapfrog as they go for an energetic walk outdoors. A couple of schoolchildren is shown sharing a bicycle outside a camp barracks at Westerbork in 1942, while a young child rides a rocking horse outside at Theresienstadt camp. Note the small size of the original bicycle photo. Calisthenics were practiced at the Slovakian camps and ball games were played. We can imagine that these more organized activities took place during regular fitness classes during the school day, rather than at recess. More calisthenics and a foot race for the girls at a Slovakian camp. Acrobatics also seem to be on the fitness agenda at the Slovak camps as a boy shows his skill on a very high balance beam. Another group is exercising. A group of young women goes for a run at the Theresienstadt camp. This boys' sports team is in uniform, but the sport is not specified. They are shown with their coach. Again, a blurry photo from a very small original. The Novaki Jewish youth soccer team poses with their coach on the soccer field, with the goalposts behind them. This drawing by Joe Spear shows the soccer field in the courtyard of the barracks building at Theresienstadt, with soccer players in the midst of a game and crowds of residents watching. We can speculate that the children of the concentration camps, work camps, and transit camps also had access to the swimming pools. Here we see adults swimming in the Novaki swimming pool in 1942, top left. We know that the Olympic swimmer Alfred Nakash spoke of his swimming displays for inmates in the Auschwitz pool, shown here. That pool was said to have been made available to inmates with good records. Here we also see the Bergen-Belsen pool, which was near a camp kitchen. It's shown at Liberation. And from the Theresienstadt pool, which must have been beautiful when it was new. Many camps not mentioned in this presentation also had pools for which photos are available, including Ebensee Camp, Mauthausen, Treblinka, and Esterwagen. There may be more. More swimming pools at the camps mentioned in this presentation, including the Ravensbrück pool. In addition to the color photo, we see a photo of men in front of the diving board. In archives, this is said to be a photo from Auschwitz, but the types of buildings seen in the background suggest it is Ravensbrück. While Ravensbrück was a women's camp, there was also a small men's camp on the site. The other pool is at Vine Camp, as shown previously. It is confirmed in the photo archives that this is a swimming pool. Older youths mingled with adults and younger children in the camps. Here we see a photo from a family at the Vine Camp. These youths are outside a dormitory in the Nitra camp in Slovakia, 1941. Children young and older pose for a proud group portrait at the Novaki camp. Children and young adults joined with their parents and spiritual leaders for a ceremony lighting the Hanukkah candles in Westerbork camp. Also at Westerbork, a Hanukkah celebration. This man seems to be urging the children to participate, perhaps in a rehearsed psalm. The Hanukkah drawing is from a child at Theresienstadt. Music, arts, and theater were very much a part of life in the camps for the children. Here, Theresienstadt children in their playroom are entertained by an accordionist. At Westerbork, children and a dad are treated to the music of the musician Benny Bear. At Novaki, a large children's choir performs in 1940 on the grand stage of the Novaki Theater. The choir master is shown at center. At Westerbork, an audience of children is assembled for some entertainment. This must be a room specifically for the children, as there is a large mural on the back wall. The mural is enlarged above. The children's opera Brundabar was composed by Hans Krasse while at Theresienstadt in 1938. It was performed by the children of the camp during the war in the production depicted here and in the following scenes. We see two posters for the production and a line drawing of Hans Krasse by the artist Max Plachek. The cast of Brundabar, the children's opera, was performed 55 times in the camp. Here we see some audience members for the Brundabar performance and have a sense of the grand stage and theater in which it was performed. The actors at the Theresienstadt production are shown top right. Mickey Mouse was as popular in the camps as he was outside. Here the children of Novaki camp dress up as mice and perform for their friends and families. The teachers are enthusiastic supporters. This grand set and these costumes were for a children's play at a Slovakian camp during the war. Here are more scenes from the elaborate play in a Slovakian camp administered by the Germans. Back at Novaki camp, very young children are part of a grand presentation with lovely costumes and music from young musicians. Here we have the two stars of the show, Avanka Kohora and Ula Shaiches, dressed in costume. The cast falls into a slumber in this scene while the children's orchestra plays away. Very young children in a Slovakian camp perform for their classmates and friends. I'm guessing mushrooms and ladybugs. The sailors salute. It was not until 1947 that it was decided that Tel Aviv would be part of the proposed Jewish state in what was then called the Palestinian Mandate, an area controlled by the British. Here, in 1943, we see teenage girls at Novaki camp celebrating in a small way the city that already housed hundreds of thousands of Jews at that time. Note the small stars of David on their belts. Younger teenage girls at Novaki perform a dance on stage. The children's barracks at Theresienstadt included a puppet theater, as shown in this drawing by Joe Spear. Joe Spear also drew a garden that was tended by the children of the camp. While not explained, this photo appears to show a dining room for children and families. It is one of the few times men and women appear in photos together with children. Camps had family accommodations as well as bachelor's barracks for men and for women. Here we see a modern recreation of a family barracks at Westerbork camp. In Serid camp, families were assigned to specific barracks buildings where family rooms and sleeping quarters were made available for each family. Here we see the barracks buildings and a sleeping arrangement for one family. Here is a family room for one of the families in the Serid camp family barracks. While it is not specified whether this was a room for a family or one person, it has been personalized by its occupant or occupants. An inmate drew this representation of living quarters in Theresienstadt. While it is hard to make out, There appears to be 2 levels of bunks, some shelving, and some other furniture under an ornate ceiling. On the right, a family poses in the window of their accommodation at Westerbork camp. Another inmate drawing from Theresienstadt, this time showing a woman cooking in a kitchen by herself. This does not seem to be a large kitchen suitable for cooking for large groups. It is possible that smaller kitchens were made available for families. Since it was also a ghetto, this may simply be a kitchen in a rather normal apartment. Children's art from Theresienstadt shows the town's church spire and what is perhaps the lightning bolt of love hitting a young couple in the camp. These are from 1943. Part of the work done by adults at Sarad camp was making toys. Here we see some of the toys they made. We can imagine some were made available to the children of the camp. A scooter made in Sarad camp and a young boy enjoying it. Also some toys showing cartoon kids on wheels. Very little is available to show what resources were available to children in other camps. Here a drawing by a child at Sachsenhausen camp is a thank you note to Vanny. Perhaps Vanny had something to do with the celebration, as the children are shown gathered for a meal. The caption says, "To Vanny from the French kids. Thank you." Older children learned some useful skills at the camps. The photo on the left is said to be child labor, with young ladies knitting. On the right, a young boy is said to be working in a carpentry workshop. Children had an important job to do in fire safety, and were included in this drill at Novaki camp, presumably to help lead their friends to safety in the event of a fire affecting the school. In Nitra, Slovakia, girls are working in a vineyard. On the right, Westerbork girls are learning to sew. The following photographs all show children at the times the various camps were liberated. All show the children healthy and well fed. Here we see baby Gyuri with his mother, along with 4 other mothers with their newborn babies at Dachau. Strangely, most of the photos of concentration camp children at liberation show them in the striped outfits sometimes worn by adult prisoners. None of the photos taken during the war and discovered in the course of researching this presentation shows children in these types of clothes. Here we see some of the children of Dachau, happy to soon be free. Moms and newborn babies at Ravensbrück. Children from an unidentified camp are also shown, wearing striped uniforms. The children at Bergen-Belsen are shown strong, smiling, and in good health at the end of the war, all apparently well fed. More children of Bergen-Belsen. Auschwitz children leaving a camp building in normal clothes, and then later other children are shown posing for a photo wearing adult clothing, ill-fitting adult clothing. More Auschwitz children in adult uniforms and liberation photos. Again, Auschwitz children wearing adult clothes. In the top photo, these Buchenwald children are wearing clothes made from German uniforms. The bottom photo is from June 1945 and shows children from the camp outside the barracks. Buchenwald children and adults leaving through the front gate of the concentration camp. Buchenwald children getting on a train and arriving at a children's home in 1945. I have questions for the Holocaust memorial sites and archive holders. Where are the photos of everyday life in the big camps? The camps where terrible stories are told. Where are the photos of children in those camps during the war years? Why do we see children leaving the camps, but no photos of their schools, caregivers, everyday lives over a period of up to 6 years? Why are there so many photos taken by the Allies showing the suffering of the people in the camps who starved at the end of the war, as all of Germany starved under Allied bombardments, firebombing of all cities, and destruction of the road and rail lines, ending food deliveries? Why the focus on all the terrible deaths from typhus at the end of the war? Why do we not have complete records of life in the camps during the war years? I would like to see this. If the records have not been destroyed, because they surely existed, I would like to see them. We close this presentation with joyous Buchenwald children and youths waving goodbye to the camp that had been their life during the years of a war that killed 60 million, mostly Christian soldiers from Europe, Asia, and America, as these children go forward to a full life of freedom.